Fadino Hazrat, Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to the Geopolitical Prism with Dr. Rehan Zafar. This video is going to be a bit of a banter, and it is going to be one of the videos that will form, hopefully, a series on what I think is going to be very important for the next generations and for humanity in general, and that is artificial intelligence. Now, what got me interested in uh, making this particular video. Uh, Yesterday, I was thinking about a few things, and the idea was to look at Pakistan's overall structure and what can be modified and what basically needs to be done. I have a few ideas related to that, which I'll be sharing in the upcoming videos. However, जो मसला है वो ये है कि मैंने as most people do nowadays, ChatGPT को मैंने जाकर एक सिंपल सी कमांड दी मैंने कहा यार give me a list of authors who have worked on post-colonial structures and post-colonialism. It was a simple command. What that generated, ladies and gentlemen, was a very extensive list of authors, and I do believe, मतलब थोड़ी बहुत foundational reading. This is not the core area of my research, but I've done some basic reading on this subject. Franz Fanon, The Wretched of the Earth, ठीक है. But then there are names which I have not studied. C.L.R. James, okay, fine. Amilcar Cabral, Culture, Class and Liberation. I have never read. Uh, Leopold, Siddharth Senghor, never read him. Edward Said, Orientalism, Cultural Imperialism, ठीक है. Gayatri Chakravarti's Vivek, she's from the subaltern school of thought. I have not read her. Omike Baba, I have heard about his theories about post-colonialism, but again, I have not bothered reading the gentleman extensively. He was a nuclear scientist. अच्छा नीचे आ जाते हैं. Benedict Anderson, हाँ ये Imagined Communities इनकी बुक है about nation building etc. अच्छा जी, and Dipesh Chakrabarti again, subaltern school of thought. पार्था चटर्जी, subaltern school of thought, और फिर subaltern school of thought को इसने separately भी discuss किया हुआ है. Then we have decolonial theory, Latin American global southern. I've not read any of the authors that ChatGPT has mentioned. Nijia Ajay, Samir Amin, okay fine, everyone has read Samir Amin. यूरोसेंट्रिसिज्म का जो कॉन्सेप्ट है वो इन्होंने दिया था. उसके बाद वर्ल्ड सिस्टम थ्योरी को कभी ओरिजिन अगर आप देखें तो आई वुड से समीर अमीन, ठीक है. और या तो देन वी हैव एमेनुअल बैलेस्टाइन, ठीक है, वर्ल्ड सिस्टम थ्योरी. कोर पेरिफेरी एक्सप्लॉयटेशन को इन्होंने डिस्कस किया था. एंड्रे कर्नल फ्रैंक, महमूद ममदानी, आई हैव नॉट रेड. और भी दो तीन ऑथर्स के नाम है. आई हैव नॉट रेड दीज ऑथर्स. कंटेम्प्रेरी में रॉब निक्सन, बाकियों को मैंने नहीं पढ़ा हुआ. आई एम नॉट, दिस इज नॉट द कोर एरिया ऑफ माय रिसर्च, बट अ सिंपल, very simple one line command can give you a very comprehensive list of authors and their works. Let's move forward. Then I specifically asked it to look at the authors who specifically looked at development of colonial institutions such as bureaucracies and the creation of elites loyal to the colonial powers, etc., etc. So there was something. And then it moved specifically to suggest the work of Mahmood Mamdani, whom I have not read. I should have read him. And I'm going to read him specifically. Encourage you specifically जो book है Citizen and Subject. I think this is worth reading, and I will go through this and then we'll comment on that. But the point is, it gave me specifically what the core argument of the book is. Colonial powers created dual state structures, stable urban rule versus customary rule, and onwards. Then it moved on to Andre Frank, okay? And then there are certain uh, Southeast Asian authors who I don't know how to pronounce their names, so I'm not going to try. Uh, उसके बाद Nation and its Fragments. I think I've read that particular book. 1990, 1990s की book है ये पार्था चैटर्जी. अच्छा, let's move forward. अच्छा, what is interesting is that I asked it specifically then to link the study with that of Pakistan, and it formed a link, and it specifically talked about the authors, uh, Aisha Jalal, Hamza Alvi, etc. So it linked that particular work with that research. Then I asked it to specifically find me uh, research gaps in this particular field of study. Now, luckily enough, as I find it lucky, but I don't think I gave it the right command, maybe, or right prompt. But the artificial intelligence was not able to particularly figure out what exactly I was asking, what exactly is the research gap. But then I identified that research gap. I've been looking at into this particular uh, idea for a few past few days. So what happened was that the artificial intelligence was unable to identify that particular आइडिया, वो पर्टिकुलर आइडिया आइडेंटिफाई नहीं कर सका. लेकिन जब मैंने इसको ये आइडिया दिया तो ना सिर्फ इसने आइडेंटिफाई किया क्योंकि दिस इज अ रिसर्च गैप जिसके ऊपर लिटरेचर एग्जिस्ट नहीं करता, अभी कोई बहुत ज़्यादा लिटरेचर एग्जिस्ट नहीं करता और कोई स्पेसिफिक लिटरेचर बिल्कुल भी एग्जिस्ट नहीं करता. बट देन इट वाज एबल टू फॉर्म अ स्पेसिफिक logical coherence links, and it was also able to form specific mathematical uh, equations which can be used for quantitative research into this particular field of study and particular idea. That, ladies and gentlemen, would have taken several days at least, or weeks. Now, that prompted me to read a particular book which I've been meaning to read, The Age of AI. And humans need motivation to basically read something, and in the kind of work-life balance that we have, it's very difficult to do that. And I've been meaning to do that, to read this particular book for past few weeks. So I spent like 3-4 hours going through this particular book. What happened then? After going through this particular book, I asked artificial intelligence to give me a summary of this particular book. Simple command. ChatGPT was able to give me the core thesis of the book, not specific examples. For instance, the book starts with AlphaZero, then moves on to describe various artificial intelligence and how it differentiates from how from basic machine learning, जो synthesis वगैरह. But it's very difficult for humans to remember specific ideas. Now, the book itself is very fascinating, and it talks about various topics, including how the AI evolved, how knowledge basically transforms. But basically, a lot of chapters I think have been dedicated to understanding the overall uh, transformation of knowledge itself from the human perspective. Here's why what is interesting. The very first pages of the book basically talk about AlphaZero. This particular artificial intelligence was not trained by any human model. it learned by playing against itself. And then again, it talked about the AI model that developed antibiotics that would have taken humans several weeks. Then it of course talks about OpenAI, ChatGPT, the one that I'm talking about now, and it talks about the philosophical questions and then moves on to how we got here. Uh, One particular sentence that really hits me: the that artificial intelligence. Regarding artificial intelligence, its social repercussions are difficult to predict. That's an understatement. Ladies and gentlemen, what we are dealing with is that yesterday there is a news going on around uh, another particular AI, the Cursor AI, and it was developed by a Pakistani author and Pakistani young uh, coder, Suleiman Asif. So what I naturally did was I don't understand coding. So I asked somebody whom I believe is an expert in coding. He has been in this particular field for 2.5 decades. He has worked with various IT companies, including Intel, Oracle, etc. Uh, then I asked him, "What do you think about this?" He, one of my cousins, Yasser. So I asked about this particular coding software. His response was one line: "Coding is dead." What does this mean for literally millions of students who are currently learning coding? Because you can learn as much coding as you want, but the kind of code that you will create, probably with a lot of bugs and errors, the AI will do that in less than a few minutes. And how long do you think it's going to take for artificial intelligence, once you have given it some particular instructions, to actually write a complete paper, complete research papers? Now, in Pakistan, of course, we have a very serious problem. Our problem basically stems from our institutional frameworks and the framework of a generation that has basically doomed the next two generations. The time when Pakistan should have industrialized, we did not industrialize at that time. And now, when the world is moving beyond service based IT industry, and now we are moving into the age of artificial intelligence, our structures have no framework available to figure out what to do about the next generation, about what will happen in the near future. So that is something that if there was any individual who even had an inkling of what was coming for the future and he cared even slightly about the future of the next generations, that should keep that individual awake. That would not be the case with the generation that is currently leading us. So that's the rant for today. What does it mean? What does the age of AI mean for society in general? Because when human intelligence and so many repetitive tasks and when so many various things which should be basically uh, AI is a lot of help. It can assist people doing a lot of things quite uh, quite rapidly. It can increase the speed of reading and speed of acquiring knowledge. If you want to acquire knowledge, uh, coming to the post-colonial writers, etc., I find reading Marxist writers quite difficult. There's a lot of ideological bent to it, and There is a pretentiousness about post-colonial writers and Marxist writers, uh, a holier than thou attitude, which makes several readings quite tedious, repetitive and tedious in that sense. But if you ask artificial intelligence, I find reading geopolitics very the core subject which I teach. That is a particular thing that I find very fascinating. So it's easier for me to read about geopolitics, but these kind of structural things are slightly difficult, especially when reading from the Marxist perspective. But artificial intelligence can do that very rapidly. What does the future hold? That's the question. And I guess I'll be making quite a few uh, videos on this particular topic to understand the broader implications of artificial intelligence in general. And yes, I'll be this for this particular topic because I'm not an expert on this topic. I'll be requesting quite a few of the experts to weigh in on this, and we'll see what can we come up with. So let's see. अपना ख्याल रखिएगा. अल्लाह हाफिज.